I'm recording. All right, let's go. So, welcome back to the second episode of the podcast. Uh,
Yeah.
so a lot has happened since the first one, right, Joe? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Uh,
I built this house over here.
well, I'm not talking about that, but like, I mean, I guess like that, but like,
No, yeah, I know.
the Anthem beta came out. The Division 2 beta came out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we played the Division 2 beta together, and besides the bugs and all that, especially because it's like fucking beta form, what do you think of it?
I think uh, I think I enjoyed the beta, and if that's what 2 is, I will enjoy 2. I feel like it may not be as good as 1 was.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because of the I guess the nostalgia factor, but
well, no, it's more of like I don't want to say the game's choppy because it didn't necessarily feel choppy, but the first one felt so smooth and 1080p and
well,
like
like we had when me and Brandon when we played the private beta, because we were the only ones in the group that played the private beta the first time around with the first game, and goddamn, there were so many
yeah.
issues with the first one. I fell through the floor and I went all the way down, like through the map. I was falling endlessly. That was a big bug in the game that pissed me off. And not only did it happen in a private beta, but also in the public beta. But now I like the winter scene. It was a bit different. I liked it. You could
Yeah.
kind of use the snow for more stealthier approaches and ambushes. Can't crouch though. I think that's a big downside. So you can't
Yeah.
crouch. I don't
Agreed.
mind like not like laying down like prone is all right, but I would like I could live without that. But it's a crouching,
Well,
you know.
it's just the game. You have to use um cover, and
Yeah,
it's
the cover to
annoying
cover.
because
Yeah.
there's certain times where you just don't have cover, or you're tired of literally just like leapfrogging it. Like you want to just
Mhm.
be in cover already or be behind something. Uh,
Um. So when you're hopping over cover, there's a new animation that I like, and it's pretty smooth. Um. It's very distinct from the previous installment. Because this year's game feels a bit smoother in a way, like the movement
oh yeah, I agree
compared
on
to
the
the
movement.
first one is more tankish, more heavy. I mean, I guess I get it because heavy clothing, wintertime, if that was their intention. But like, it just feels smoother and like the hop over animation, like he puts the one gun in his hand and as he's hopping over, and
Well, did you
and
see
then he
the?
uses his other hand for leverage, which I thought was a pretty neat detail. I can't remember if it was in the first one or not. I don't think it was, but
I want to download it to play it again to try it out, but I'm not gonna do it. Like I'd rather do a group. Like with the group, I don't want to play missions
the see
like solo.
first one was what killed the first one was the dark zone. Was like, hey,
Yeah,
the best loot is in the dark zone. That was the message I got. Like the vibe, per se.
yeah, and I mean, I probably could have had a little bit more fun on my own if I had the DLCs, but I wasn't. I wasn't putting the money down. I don't want to say it was a waste to buy it, but I wasn't going to.
Right, right, right.
One
Understandable.
of one of the things I did notice in this beta when I looked at options, I didn't mess with it, but there's like a parkour mode in the settings, and I would assume what that is is that instead of you having to manually hit the buttons to go into cover or to hop over cover, it's a automatic thing when you move towards it somehow.
Mm,
I would assume. I could be very wrong about that. Um, if it's not that, I kind of want to check that out.
yeah, for
'Cause
sure. A lot of new like not new gadgets, but abilities in the new game as well. I don't know if you saw like what they are, but there's a drone now. Like it's kind of like a
yeah,
fucking Amazon drone. That's what I'm gonna fucking
yeah,
call it.
it looks really powerful.
Um, Here's the thing though, like the mods are different now. Um, per se. Hold on, let me drink this. Um, like the one I was using, it was for shields, and I could send it using because on my end, it's left bumper for me or L1.
Hmm.
So I would just hit L1 to set like to either heal myself or heal you guys, shield wise. And I thought that was pretty neat that I could aid you guys with armor from afar. And I feel like
Yeah.
since Brandon's more or less the medic player of the
Hashtag
group,
Doc.
um, since he's more of the medic, I have a feeling he might run the pulse scanner like he did from the first installment, and then probably the drone.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because I enjoyed the pulse scanner a lot.
yeah,
You know, that that helped out so much.
yeah, and then um, there's a bunch of different abilities now, um, that pique my interest, and I have a feeling like they did that to add more diversity to the player fan base. So it's not just everyone's gonna run scanner and that one like the ability that heals
Yeah.
without using a med
Yeah.
kit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I remember that. Yes.
You,
Yeah, it's been
it
just
was
I mean,
it
that's
was like a noob tube but of health, and you could
well,
use it on
that's what.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like this how you could run Doc in Siege. How you could just
Right, right, right,
like
right, right, right,
shoot
right.
yourself up.
Yeah, or shoot up others. Right.
Yeah.
And then there was a
Yeah. Call
mod
of
that
Duty did
was.
that this year.
Did they? Oh, I mean, yeah.
They
I guess they
well
did.
they well they no not I mean not just multiplayer but for zombies they took out like their sleight of hand and their juggernaut perks and all that stuff and people were pissed off and they're like why would you take out the best perks in the game and they said that's because you would only get those ones and you'd never like they looked and nobody was trying anything else they would just go for the same 3-4 perks and they all the other ones were basically a waste of time so they took out those top tier perks so that they could get a little bit of shine on the rest of them and I mean it worked. I don't think anyone's complaining anymore about those perks being out of the game.
Mm.
So
Speaking of first-person shooters, um, so EA's reporting that Battlefield 5's not doing very hot. Actually, that's kind of been in the news recently. Um, Actually, I can pull up the report on my phone here. Give me a second.
I think a lot of the downside to that is that people didn't get that battle royale yet.
Here we go. I got it right here. Battlefield 1 player base nearly at 4 million monthly active users. 4 nearly 2 million according to EA. So 5's been out for a while.
Yeah.
I think, and they're saying that Battlefield 5 sales have underperformed. And I think that's because, yes, there's no battle. EA's saying it's because there's no battle royale yet. That's EA's excuse. But personally, I don't- I don't think that's what's the big issue here. Um, I
Well,
know
to them,
I know you like 4 a lot, and I don't have a problem with 4. I don't. I liked 4, but the reason why 4 became so popular was because of the constant like updates on DLC, new maps, new guns, you
yeah.
know, and
Well, they
they're
did.
kind of not doing that this year. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Well,
haven't said anything.
with four at the beginning, for my God, four was awful. I mean, so many bugs months into the game's life cycle still. Spawning in with no weapon, uh, no audio even sometimes. I'm a casual player, so to me, I didn't get too upset, but that was
Now,
so
when you say
bad.
casual
And
player, what do you mean by that? Like you play a lot of it, right?
yeah, well, the amount I played was, I played a lot of Battlefield, but I mean at the mindset, I wasn't super competitive. I wasn't trying really, really hard to have great statistics. I wasn't trying super hard. I just wanted to kind of like, use a sniper rifle,
Right.
occasionally dick around, throw C4 on the bike and fucking blow up and get shot out to
Yeah,
the moon.
yeah, yeah. We have clips of those. Yeah.
Yes, we do. Um, but I wasn't demanding. I wasn't looking for a game that had to have perfect anything, and the game had its flaws, which were a lot. But they fixed it over time. They switched things around, and they did a lot of updates. Of course, they did their regular weapon balancing. So it was not only tolerable at the end of the day, but it felt so good. It felt finished. Uh, and I think I gave them that long to work on it because I could see that it mattered and everything was getting done pretty well.
Hmm.
But it was also modern. Everything felt strong compared to uh, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield uh
5.
5. I mean
Yeah.
I mean, look, we forgot Hardline existed. I forget Hardline exists.
Well, yeah. Even EA. I mean, they didn't say how many active users are on Hardline, but I would assume
Yeah.
it's probably at least 1 million. I'm sure in those numbers it's probably like 1 million or something like amongst those lines. Not a lot,
And
but
that's good for
enough to keep it alive. You know what I'm saying?
well, that's good for us. For us, a million people's a fuck ton. And I mean, hey, like yeah, exactly, a million's a million. But I mean, that one came out after.
That one
It
came
didn't come
after.
out after one,
No,
right?
it was after 4, but I think 2 years before 2 to 3 years before 1.
Right. Yeesh. It's just,
1
and I've already told you, like, God.
like one's like okay, so we know EA and Activision or fucking Battlefield and Call of Duty, they compete against one another, no doubt. Those
Yeah.
are the two top games. It's like EA competing against itself between Madden and FIFA. Those are their babies, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Call of Duty and Battlefield, it's like the Green Bay Packers rivalry with the Chicago Bears. You know,
Yeah.
um,
It's big.
it's a big. You both have big fan bases, player bases, whatever. And I think when one was announced at E3, when they had that theme song or that song by the White
Oh
Stripes,
yeah, the
Seven
Seven
Nation.
Nations Army.
Yeah, that's when Call of Duty came out with what? Infinite Warfare.
Um, I don't think so. No,
Like, no, no,
World
no,
War Two.
no, no, no. It was Infinite Warfare, and then the next year was World War II. It was
Wasn't
Infinite
okay.
War. Yes, because
Yeah.
fucking Infinite Warfare became the most disliked video on YouTube in history.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And they included the pre-order bonus. If you pre-ordered the
The
game,
Call
you
of Duty
get
4.
yeah, the remastered. Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of those pieces of shit that bought it. And I gotta say that was probably more than half of the player base that decided to get that.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, they knew that. They knew that because initially you had to buy the game as a. First of all, it was strictly a pre-order bonus. You couldn't buy it uh, after it was released for a little bit. I want to say I could be wrong about that. Actually, no, I am wrong. I think you could still buy it right off the shelf with it, but you had to buy that special edition. It was 20 extra dollars, so you had to pay $80 to get Call of Duty 4 remastered. And for those that bought it on disc, you had to have, like I bought it on disc, you had to have Infinite Warfare's disc in your system, and you had to have Infinite Warfare installed in order to play Call of Duty 4. You couldn't even uninstall Infinite Warfare. So you're wasting an extra 60 to 70 gigs, uh, and you have to have the disc in there at all times just to play COD 4.
Mhm.
For them, literally like 2 months later, to say, "Hey, here's COD 4, for $40, which is $20 more than you were basically paying for it, but here's a $40 game, all on its own, and you don't have to have anything else." That was a huge fuck you. So I would have loved to have bought that. I would have paid $60 for it instead of 40 if they weren't assholes about it. But unfortunately, they knew their game was gonna. They knew Infinite Warfare was gonna suck.
Yeah. And new wood. Excuse me. But Battlefield 1 had a great launch though. Especially with the Seven Nation Army, it really caught people's attention, and especially no
Yeah.
one had done World War One properly before.
No, it was a good take on it.
It was a good take. Guns were a little bit repetitive, but understandable because history would have, that would have been history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
It's hard though too, because you know, there's so many weapons back then that so many people don't even know exist. But
right.
the players want what they want, and I feel like if you give us a bunch of weapons that we haven't seen before, as cool as it is to have new stuff, everyone's always going to be like, well, when are we getting this gun, and when are we getting the big popular ones? And you just can't win with that.
No, and I think what also killed it was it. So let me think here. Okay, so Battlefield it's known for its classic conquest mode, conquest and rush, the big two modes of Battlefield. That's what put Battlefield on the map essentially, were those two modes. And so Battlefield 3 was perfect. It was the perfect balance between you could either run and gun it or you could play with teammates tactically.
Yeah.
And 4 kind of tip the balance a bit. Hey, you could run and gun a bit more on your own, but also play with teammates tactically. And like that balance with 1 and then now with 5, it's getting lower and lower to the
Yeah.
whole
And
run and gun aspect. And I think the whole team play is what really brought Battlefield to its forefront, because guys were like, this is a great fucking team game. Why don't we just stick to this from now on? You know?
exactly. I mean,
And
four.
that's
I
why I
started
played it
playing
was
3.
like that's why I loved it. It was team like in 3 especially when you had quote quote unquote clan games, you know? Like you had to play tactically to win.
That game, I played 3 with you guys on last gen,
Right.
and I was like, wow. I mean, I love Call of Duty, but this is different, and it's really fun.
Mhm.
And I was able to play 3 on my own in a little bit. I enjoyed it on my own, but it was way better with friends. And connectivity to friends was, I mean, it was okay. I didn't play for too long, but
Yeah, you
uh,
you hopped in right before 4 came out.
yeah. So I didn't get a lot of time to play it, but I knew I enjoyed it more when I had a squad. And 4 was, like I said, 4 off the bat was just just like going haywire, but it had everything that I wanted out of a Battlefield game. You had the
What, 4?
training yard where yeah,
Okay.
you had the training yard, so that you could practice your weaponry. You had squad joints so that you could just easily get together with your buddies. Uh, the private servers were pretty cool with the options. The game in general just had a lot. They had a lot of customization options for your
Mhm.
options menu.
They
Call of
they had a
Duty's
lot more
never.
guns and equipment than 3 did.
Yeah, and much more than most games have ever. There's more assault rifles in there than like their assault rifle list in 4 after all the DLCs came out was bigger than half of Call of Duty's guns in most games.
Mhm.
And so it was crazy. And I loved 4. The maps were pretty nice. The guns felt not overpowered to each other. I feel like they were pretty well balanced, but they felt strong. You felt confident with your gun. As opposed to the new ones where I feel like I'm shooting Nerf guns. Their options are great, Their sensitivities got like 30 options. Your heads-up display, all the things, your field of view, that's big to me. But a lot of cool stuff, but overall the game, I just feel like it's not so appetizing. So there's a lot to that. But I don't
Um,
know.
go for it.
Feels weird. Feels
This sniping is super satisfying now. That's one thing I will give them credit for doing pretty well with between 1 and 5. Like in all like not just those games, but like that's one thing that or Dice I should say has done always well, and that's the sniping. It's not like Call of Duty where you could quick scope, you know.
Yeah. No, I will say that uh I loved sniping in 4. Loved it.
It
I
was
got
easy in 4 though. Let's be real because of the whole
Oh yeah.
zeroing distance, and
Oh
especially
no,
if you
you
had
could
the best setup I think was the
the
depending on your
rangefinder.
gun, the rangefinder, the flash hider, and either bolt action or not bolt action, but bipod or straight pull depending on your gun. With either 8, 20, or 40 times scope. Those were the
Yep.
best scopes.
No,
Those three
but
right there.
I'd have to say that between the Gold Magnum and the SRR, right? The SRR. Yeah,
Hmm.
the SR. Yeah. Between those two, you're right. The flash hider. Uh, I usually I didn't run rangefinder because I ended up taking that slot with something else. I don't remember what it was. Maybe variable zoom or something.
It would have been variable zoom or
Then
laser sight. The others were
then yeah,
pointless.
I usually ran either an 8 times in a 14 or like a 40 in a 14 or something along those lines. But yeah, it was a lot easier. But the guns, they had a higher velocity. To me, they felt stronger and more accurate. When I got into Battlefield 1, I was like, oh my god, this feels And 5 is a huge improvement to me on sniping compared to 1. But they didn't feel satisfying enough for me as a sniper. 5 was close. I enjoyed sniping a little bit on 5. Uh, the difference though was that that was the only thing I enjoyed on 5. I hated the guns. Because for one, half the guns were repetitive from Battlefield 1. That I did not like. And I didn't, I mean, you know how much I like sniping.
Hmm.
So I was excited for that. And in 5 it's nice. I'd pay 5 to 10 bucks, shit, maybe even 20 bucks for a sniper only game of Battlefield, I guess. But I wouldn't pay $60 for what that full game is, because it's just it's not there for me. Not like 4 was. So, but I hope they fix it. I hope they end up fixing 5 around a little bit. But
I think what everyone wants is another modern style game, like Battlefield 4 and 3, especially 3 and 4.
I definitely want one. I mean, I'll even let DICE take, because even though I don't really care for 1 and I don't care for 5, it's by standards. You know what I mean? Like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, horrible Call of Duty game.
Hmm.
But as a game, if you branch it off away from that, and you put it just in a category, like in a unknown category, it's not so bad. You know, it's got good graphics, it's got a lot of crazy shit, but compared to what they are, you know, compared to other Call of Duties, it sucks ass. So Battlefield as games are incredible. Their graphics, their game mechanics.
Excuse
Don't
me.
die on me now.
Oh, no. I see what you're saying. Like, the bar is pretty high with Battlefield standards, considering the past games. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So, I enjoy. If you told me I was stuck in a room and I had to play Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5, I'd be like, sweet. You know, if that was the only game I got to play, well, fuck, it could have been way worse, because that's not a bad game. But
Hmm.
but if you gave me the option to play even Hardline over, you know, Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5, I'd be like, thank God. So, that just...
Hardline wasn't bad.
Yeah, I played it for a little bit because of the license transfer I had with Anthony.
Hmm.
And I was kind of
The
sad, because I feel like that game was underrated.
It was. The campaign was really well, though. The campaign was very well written. Did you play the campaign at all?
I think I played a mission or two, but I ended up having to delete it for space for one of our other games, so I didn't have too long on it, because me and you were also gonna play that.
Yeah, I
And we
mean,
had other shit that we were
I
playing.
think we got some footage of us playing. I'm pretty sure we do.
Yeah, no, we do. We had a few games. I think we may have even got one of the other boys on, but I know we played a little bit for sure, because we played on that. Fuck, we did play for a little bit.
Yeah, we played on the skyscraper map.
The skyscraper map.
The LA. It was downtown at LA.
Yeah, we played there, and I want to say we played a game in the forest area.
Yeah, yeah, and then I think
Yeah.
Hollywood Heights was another one too that we played together. It was
I don't remember the name.
it was an infantry based map, except one helo that spawned at the mansion in the back there.
Oh God, I love Dr. Pepper. Sponsored by Dr. Pepper.
Oh.
I mean, not actually sponsored. I wish. But no, like, I enjoyed 5. You know, like I said, these games on their own are fun, I guess. But when you compare it to the other stuff that they've already put out, it's hard to want to play it.
Agreed. I like 5. I'm already max level on it at level 50 currently. Um, I think what's killing it now it's the lack of new maps and new guns.
I'd have to say when I played it that I was really disappointed with the guns. Not how they shot necessarily.
No,
I
but
feel like they beefed
the
them up.
less the I mean, I get it. Like I know why they're holding back on like this not the Springfield cuz the Spring is the Springfield in the game yet? No, it isn't. The Lee Enfield is. Um
Yeah, yeah, the Lee Enfield's in there.
but the Springfield sniper rifle ain't, I don't think at least, unless it's in there and I haven't paid attention. But the M1 Grand classic World War II gun. You know, they got the Thompson in there. They do. And they don't have the PPSH yet, the Russian what
Yeah.
LMG or assault rifle, depending on.
Submachine gun.
Is it a sub? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that, yeah. should should be classified as an AR, but yeah. But what? Probably for DLC?
Yeah, so the reason why they're holding back is they got a plan to keep their player base coming back. Is like, hey, we're gonna release, you know, weapon, not necessarily weapon packs, but just DLC in general that will
Mhm.
allow it to, so players keep coming back. You know what I'm saying?
I I think that's probably what they're doing. Although I think it's backwards. And I mean, we know now because the game's already been released. I don't want to seem like I knew this,
Mhm.
but I I feel like we just had one, and one had, if you liked one, if you enjoyed one and you played one, then I'm sure you're gonna love 5 compared to just the style.
Right.
But the thing is, it's like maybe now that it's out, now that we do have opinions, I feel like you should have gave us the guns you're holding out on first. Uh, because a lot of the people don't want a repeat of one. They want new shit. They want new maps. They want new guns. They
Yeah,
want to
and
be
like
excited.
the lack of, let's say, the battle of, like the island hopping, Iwo Jima, you know. And then you also have the battle of the Bulge, was it? The Battle of the Bridge Bulge for the on up in Europe, which was Germany's last stand before they surrendered in the
All right.
war.
Yeah.
They have D-Day, they have Pearl Harbor. They could do. They have a bunch of like World War II.
There's
There's so many battles that they could bring to the table, and the fact that they haven't done it yet. And the game's been out since what, October, September ish.
Yeah, because the thing with one that was was crazy is one had the trailer. One said, "Hey, look in this direction. We're gonna do some crazy shit." And I mean, you could say it did or didn't deliver, however you want to do, but you had so many people excited and waiting because 4 ended up finishing great, and people were excited for a new big thing in 1. But that's gone in 5 because, and we've talked about this before, but World War II is that's my favorite time. I'd love to pick up a gun from World War II.
Same here.
But as far as the game goes, it was primarily all guns from the previous game. And I was like, alright, like, that's okay. But look, I'm turned off to the game now. If they add some cool shit, I might come back, but
if they would have waited like 1 month and then released new guns Like say they released two guns a month. That would keep a pretty good, you know, player fan base, kept. Maybe like so for the first week you throw in a new uniform that everyone gets for free, or they have to work for it, via the credit or the currency that you earn. Or so you alternate weeks. So you bring out a new uniform or something cosmetic wise. Tank look, airplane look.
Yeah. Some
Something.
stylized
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, a vanity item. Vanity is like just uh,
I get you.
yeah. And then you follow it up with weapon. That way you get your fan base used to the system so that you could potentially take a small break in, let's say, all right guys, like we gave you two weapons and two new uniforms for both the Axis and Allies, like one each.
Mhm.
And so they would have done that the month of September or October, whichever, and then they could have just hold out. They could have just held off for the entire month of December, and then once Christmas got finished up, for within the first week of January, boom, you release another vanity item, you know,
Mhm.
and you continue to do that, like do it for 3 months, take a month off, do it for two
I
months,
mean, I'm
you
down
know.
for them. The content, the amount of time that the content comes in and out, like how much they put in at certain times,
Mhm.
I would prefer it be like that. But if it's good, you can come out with shit later on. I mean, like for instance, Call of Duty comes out with a Call of Duty every year. It's awesome, but if the
It's
game you
awesome
gave
that
us
they
is
get a new game a year, every year.
like it's cool to have new shit each year, but if a game's great, like Battlefield 4 is great. We played Battlefield 4.
Mhm.
I mean, we still kind of sometimes will play Battlefield 4 because it's a good game. Uh, now it's a little run dry, but we played that for a while.
Mhm.
If the game's good, we'll play it forever. So we don't need one every year. Like Call of Duty puts one out every year. I could wait. I like Black Ops 4. I'll play Black Ops 4
Well,
for
they
a
they
whole ass
waited a
another
year
year.
before five. If one came out, it was out for a whole year, and then they released five. That was
But
the deal.
I mean, what I'm saying is like if the game's good, if the quality's there, I'll
Like the
wait.
replay value.
Yeah, like you don't have to come out for me, you don't have to come out with new shit all the time really frequently.
Mhm.
I prefer it that way. I mean, I prefer it that we get, a gun or two and a map or two. I think Call of Duty's doing that this year with their season pass holders. They came out with only two maps and some other shit, which is like half of what they come out with. But I think that's because they're already about to release an additional two maps. So they're spreading it out, which is good. I'm cool with that. But I feel like just at launch, there just wasn't a lot there. There's just not there gun wise and stuff. Like I want to earn some shit that I haven't used before, and I want to play on some maps that I'm not sick and tired of repeating.
Mhm.
And in both of the shooters this year, Call of Duty had like almost no good new maps, like at all. And Battlefield had, I feel like, a lower amount of maps. Am I right? Like it had like what, like a very few maps to start
I
off with.
think there's 12 maps total, which sounds like a lot, but the rotation sucks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like I feel like they downgraded a little bit. Uh,
See, you know the saying, fondness makes the heart grow stronger?
yeah,
I think, because the one game that every die-hard Battlefield fan wants is Bad Company 3. The last
yeah.
Bad Company game that was out was back in, what, '07, '08 time?
I didn't play it.
It
Unfortunately, I
was
did
it
not play
was
it.
like when they first introduced squad-based games, like with Conquest and all that.
Yeah, I feel like Bad Company 2 was the Call of Duty 4 of the franchise, like where it was like, all right, 1, 2, and 3 were whatever the shooter games. Holy fuck, look at this. Like, I mean, you are the
It
Battlefield
came
guy,
it
and I'm
it,
the Call
it,
of Duty
it,
guy.
it came out the same year MW2 came out.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I think Modern Warfare 2 was like what, 2010, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it came out the same year.
Okay. Wow.
Because in the campaign, so you know in like the first mission that you're not soap in MW2, you're up in the snow mountains and then you escape on snowmobiles, right?
Yes, I loved that one.
You go through a whole like Russian airport or like not an airport but a secret military base.
Yeah, no. Oh my God, I missed the campaign. But yeah.
Um, there was a comment made by one of like quote unquote the characters of Bad Company that they were like, why didn't we drive snowmobiles? And the guy goes, only sissies ride snowmobiles. And it was pretty funny. You could YouTube it. It's pretty funny.
Let me see what you're doing. I like that. I mean, that's funny to intercross with the games like that.
Mhm.
See what you're doing. Were you making water lighting?
No, just like uh, sunlighting, I guess.
How are you? Are you double painting it? Oh, okay. That looks cool. I like that a lot.
Mhm.
At first I looked over and I'm like, no, he's taking layers out of the pool. but but this is cool as fuck. I really don't give a shit about the pool. This looks fantastic.
Mhm. And it's the same length and width of the table.
Yeah, like I'm jealous because you have almost no lights in here and I hate using lights. I hate using a lot of lights. This looks good down here. But but it's just like it's such a it wasn't like it was good the first few months and then they took a few months like you were saying, like if they would have taken a break, that would have been good. Like if we had the content and we were satisfied. I was not satisfied. I was looking at that game like, all right, your maps are okay. Your maps are fine. But I've been playing the same 3 or 4 forever.
Mhm. The rotation is
And
absolutely atrocious.
right, and the guns weren't bad, but we just got done playing a game for an entire like year and a half with these guns. Where are the new guns? And I also happen to prefer Battlefield 4. Felt better. So
Mhm.
not only is it kind of lackluster to me, but I also have a better thing to go play, in my opinion. And that's what sucks. Because you want the next one to be better all the time, and it didn't feel that. So I'd rather hold up M1 Grands and Mosin Nagants and PPS H41s than M16s and M40s. So I'm rooting for 5. I would way rather have a phenomenal World War II game over a phenomenal modern shooter game. The only difference with the modern ones is that, there's probably more, you're not going to really see thermal sights in a World War II game, and you're probably not going to see too many rangefinders, but other than that, gameplay is, can be crazy. That too. Uh, That's the one thing I really got to give Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. Cinematic wise, oh
The
my
graph
god, beats.
the graphics have gotten 10 times better. We could agree on
Yeah,
that.
and not even just the graphics. Dude, you put on those headphones and you just watch somebody play Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, and it's like a IMAX movie. It's not, it's not just the graphics. What you would when you would play like Call of Duty and
Mhm.
you would watch a trailer and you had all these dudes, you had squads linking up and explosions and somebody blowing up a helicopter and walking away from the fire and slow motion. That does not happen. But in Battlefield it does.
Well, it happens daily. Happens
Yeah,
almost
in an
every second.
average exactly in an average game of Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5, you have those things blowing up and the audio presets. Like I loved War Tapes. It
Mhm.
just sounded the game sound was incredible. Everything was there. You could just be like immersed into it, and I loved that. Uh, and they did keep that this year. It just it just doesn't it just doesn't do it for me. But oh my God, I could sit there and watch it all day. So props to them for that. And four was good. Four had great graphics. Four was crazy cinematics. I mean, you'd occasionally see some dude jump out of his jet, pull out a rocket, blow up some other dude's jet, and hop back in his
That
jet
that that
before
was
it hit the
actually
ground.
in that was actually in 3.
Yeah, well, I've seen it done in four, but
Oh, 4,
what?
yes, but 3, it happened first in 3.
Right. I did remember seeing one or two of those videos from
Cause,
three.
yeah, because EA actually used that as a marketing ploy as well.
Yeah,
Like, look at the shit
which
you could do in Battlefield.
yeah,
Holy fuck.
no, and they're but that's the thing. They're right. You can do that. That'll happen. It's not like with Call of Duty with like Blackout, they were like, all right, you could have y- you know you're gonna have helicopters low to the ground and squads shooting at this dude, and this dude's gonna do some parkour shit
Like,
and
to me,
ram his.
that was like, to me, that was a turn off for me. Because it was like, I, I got a game for that specifically. That I could just, if I die, I could just respawn. I got a game like that.
Mhm.
It's called Battlefield.
Um, but yeah, I mean they're good. It's just I feel like Battlefield 5 needed. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't need really anything that Battlefield 4 had. I feel like it's its own game entirely. But
Yeah.
first of all, you gotta have squad join ready to go. Wasn't it Battlefield 1 that didn't even have squad join, or was it 5?
No, it was 1. They they fucked up the squad join in 1. And
But how,
then that brings back to the point of you don't need a squad to win a game anymore like you used to back in the day. Back in the days of both Battlefield 3 and 4. It's more or less, you know, how it's becoming the one thing that they swore not to become. And that's fucking almost like Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying?
well,
They're becoming the
well,
one
well,
thing they
in,
swore not to become.
well, in what way? I mean,
The running gunning aspect.
oh, well, I mean,
That I mean, they have team deathmatch. I'm not saying team deathmatch is bad. Everyone has their cup of tea. Mine is fucking Conquest and Rush all day. Preferably Conquest.
but the player base from Battlefield was not, for a long time, was not the same player base as Call of Duty. I feel like it was definitely one or the other. You know,
I see
I
what you're
was
saying.
not.
Either you play Call of Duty or you play Battlefield. I see that point. But you have guys who do play both. Like me, when Bad Company 2 came out, I played it a little bit, but man, I was in love with MW2.
Well, I don't just mean you only play one or the other, but I feel like if you decide, all right, I'm gonna play a racing game today, you know, you might pick between Forza or The Crew. I mean, if you have Xbox or whatever, but there's a decision factor on what you want to play. If you decide, okay, I want to play Battlefield 3 or I want to play Battlefield 4, you know, like that's a decision. I feel like if you,
I see what you're saying because like I have that question a lot. But what I ask myself is, do I want to play a long game or do I want to play a quick game? Quick
right,
game, I go on, hop on Call of Duty. Long games, I go to Battlefield.
yeah, they're different games. So, and I mean that as in they're exactly how you said it. It's you're not choosing, you know, you're not saying, "Oh, okay, I want to play a shooter, Call of Duty or Battlefield." It's like it's more in depth than that. It's like, "All right, do I want to play a longer range strategic game? Uh, you know, do I want to use most of my time trying to win the game, or do I want to aggressively run and gun and try and get a new optic?" So, you dying over there?
Yeah, give me a second. But continue talking.
Um, well, I'm looking I'm looking at you through the glass. Because you have glass all over this fucking place.
God damn. Okay. Oh,
You might wanna watch out though, because if you come up here for a second, come up to the
I'm still
to the
recovering.
regular landing space.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh shit, is this a new? Oh shit, we might be getting a new siege update soon. Uh, but if you look over, and you can build into this. I'm up a level.
God damn it.
Come here, fucker.
Where?
There you go. Right here.
Oh.
Look, if you look right here,
Mhm.
there's a drop area. So you could build into this. Just be aware that this is here.
Okay.
Um, but yeah. No, I mean, I hope they update it good. If they do, I'll definitely come back. Battlefield's made a good, you know, to me, they've made a good statement. Uh, or not statement, but they left a good mark. So I'm willing to, you know, keep going back and giving them a little bit of time to see what their progression looks like.
Yeah.
But I'm not feeling it this year.
I mean, you know me, Joe. I'm a hardcore Battlefield guy, so regardless, I'm gonna play Battlefield. It's all opinion. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I gave Battlefield 1 more chances to play than I did Infinite Warfare or Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare I barely fucking touched. I was like, fuck you, game. I didn't even want to buy it. I honestly didn't.
Honestly, I think what helped the success of that game was because of the shit job that the other one was. You know what I'm saying?
What, the prior game?
I'm saying one did so well because Infinite Warfare was shit and Advanced Warfare
Oh,
was shit.
agreed. I think they had a lot. The thing, though, too, that you gotta remember is that people already knew they didn't want Infinite Warfare because they had Advanced Warfare. Because if you remember when we got Advanced Warfare, we were excited. Well, maybe not you, but a lot of people were excited. It was futuristic Call of Duty. You got to do all kinds of jumping and parkour and shit. But then we found out it wasn't so smooth. It wasn't all that great.
Mhm.
Then we found out that Black Ops was doing it, and we were like, no, not 2 years in a row.
Well, I
And
mean, Black Ops was already headed in that direction, regardless.
well, unfortunately, so was Infinity Ward. Infinity Ward had already decided what game they were doing when all the games, they basically collectively decided that they were all going to do it. That's why it ended up being 3 years in a row, because they already started on the project and they all just figured they'd get their take on it at the same time. But, you know, Advanced Warfare, first of all, Advanced Warfare was made by not a new set of guys, but, you know, I mean, they ran their own company, but it was their first Call of Duty game. So, I gotta say, for them to make their first Call of Duty game, they did good by a video game standard, not a Call of Duty standard. Uh, as a video game, not the worst. As a Call of Duty game, sucked. So, that sucked ass. And then Black Ops made it, and I feel like Black Ops did way, way, way better. If Black Ops would have been the first futuristic game, I feel like it wouldn't have been so bad. Uh, but it came out, people still played it, but they were like, oh my god, we're so tired of this. What do we got this year? And Infinite Warfare was like, yeah, we're not listening. Like we're gonna come out with another one. But I think that was I think that was trying to be their helping hand, is they knew we didn't want it, but they were already gonna do it, so they said, hey, you know what? Because we're pretty much fucking you guys over this year, we'll give you COD 4. Um, that was the saving grace. I would have never bought Infinite Warfare, and that was before I didn't have a license thing with Anthony, so I was buying the game, and I would have never ever bought Infinite Warfare in a million years if I had a choice.
Right.
So, my God, that was an awful game. So, and it was too. Like Black Ops to me was the best one. Black Ops took the movement
Black
that
Black
Advanced
Ops
Warfare was doing.
Black Ops 3 was good. I liked. I
Yeah.
mean, it was all right. It wasn't as good as 2 and 1. Like,
No.
cuz 2, like the sequel, depending on the developer, is usually always the best game out of like the series of games. Cuz the first one you're
Yeah.
like, okay, they're setting up the story, and the second one's usually more impactful and more action.
Well,
You
it's
know what I'm
like that
saying?
in movies too, I feel like. I feel like a lot of the sequels, yeah,
Oh
that's what
yeah.
the good companies do. They say, all right, we made this. This worked out. People really liked this part, and they really liked this.
Yeah,
Let's try and beef those up.
right. So Black Ops 3 did pretty well comparing on how successful Black Ops 2 was. I feel like I feel like it was a pretty good game, you know.
Yeah, Black Ops 2 was, I mean, I prefer Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty 4 the most, but but uh but yeah, Black Ops was incredible. Black Ops 2, I mean, was just the shit. I spent a lot of money on Black Ops 2. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay, you're there. No, no, I didn't. I just it got like incredibly quiet through my headset,
Mm.
like almost like there was no sound, and I'm like, uh-oh. But no, like Modern Warfare 2, I didn't put a lot of money into at all, actually.
That's why MW3 did so terrible. It's because look at the second game of the series. It was MW2. MW2 was the best one campaign wise and multiplayer wise.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they had two good games. I mean, COD 4 was the
COD 4
you
raised
know,
or COD 4 set the bar. Or MW2 raised it, and MW3 barely like, just touched the tips of it.
yeah, yeah,
That was
and I
that's
liked
what